Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I would like to offer some thoughts on the Trainer Trials format on Pokemon TCG Live. So in case you need a quick recap, you've already forgotten what Trainer Trials is. Basically, it's these rotating formats on TCG Live, only on TCG Live. It is worth noting that none of them are IRL, so to speak, although they have been, I guess, in some clubs and whatnot, but for the most part, it is just exclusively online. And the key thing about them is that they rotate every 2 weeks or so, or in some cases, they only last 1 week. But yeah, this is the full schedule for Black Ball and White Flare. I'll just quickly go over it. So in the first 2 weeks, there was Singleton Showdown, and then we are currently on the CU Cup, but that probably be changed by the time this video goes up. Then there'll be Half Year Havoc, and then it'll be Twin Battles. And I think this was worth bringing up and worth actually making a video about talking about in the first place, just because I haven't really seen anyone else do it. And that really speaks volumes to me. Like, no one really talks about trainer trials online. It's very much standard this and standard that. And I'm not saying that like a bad thing or a criticism of any other channels or anything. It's just something that I've noticed and I thought was worth bringing up. Like, I've maybe seen one or two other videos talking about trainer trials, and like that is it. No one really talks about these. So why is that? Why is it that trainer trials is really flown under the radar? Well, I have a few theories. The first one is really obvious. I don't think many casual players, and many players full stop, really have the time in life to set aside precious time as well to try out a new format that only lasts 2 weeks. Like, you think how much time a person has in a week? It's not actually a lot. Like, say you're jobless, right? You're a jobless boy. You stay at home all day. You do nout all week, pretty much. Like, yeah, you're gonna have all the time in the world, right? But for the average person, they go to work or school or whatever it is. So they're going to be busy. So to set aside precious time in a 2 week schedule to then, try out an alternate format, probably try out some new decks as well, and, really focus in on a build. By the time you've actually got something properly sorted and you've got a feel for the deck, the format's changed and you're on to the new one. And I think that's a really big underrated problem with trainer trials. Like, I do wish these had been for a lot longer than they are. In some ways, it's good and it's understandable why they shift so frequently because, of course, if there are trainer trials that don't really work out very well and they're not as popular as other ones, then they won't be around forever. It's a quick turnaround. But at the same time, I don't think players like committing to a format if there's only 2 weeks for it. So if I was going to bring back trainer trials in the future after this schedule is done, I would definitely say just do 2 or 3 trainer trials, or maybe just limit it to 2, and have them on for like 3 to 4 weeks each. None of this 1 week lasting or 2 week lasting, because I don't think it's long enough to really appreciate these formats. And they are cool, but by the time you really get your fangs like sink into them, by the time you've really put the time aside to like actually try them out, they're pretty much over. Like the CU Cup, I was like, oh yeah, I've got plenty of time to record new gameplay and stuff for the CU Cup. And like by the time like the first week was up, I was like, oh wait, I have 7 days to put together a bunch of other content. And I'm also like consciously aware that these videos like aren't super successful because people aren't playing the CU Cup, so no one wants to watch videos about the CU Cup. And so like I've got to like find room to find the time as well to squeeze in other videos that are different, but also include all like the deck profiles that I want to do for the CU Cup. Like, I have plenty of deck ideas for the CU Cup. I've got about 17 sitting in a journal at home. So plenty for this format. But the thing is, no one really cares. No one wants to watch them. And like, that's not a problem with the audience. Like, that's not me complaining about like lack of views or anything. That's just me saying that no one's interested. And that's interesting to me. Like, no one is really that interested in these. Like, Singleton Showdown, I think, was a bit more populated on the ladder. I was going to say, like, there was a lot of matches with Singleton. Like, I think a lot more people were trying it out because it's quite easy to understand, I think, and get into, right? It's just one copy of any card. But when you start involving like the expanded formats and limiting it to common and uncommon, all of a sudden a lot of players' decks lose appeal. Like, I can imagine a lot of casual players, like, this is just generalizing very badly. So like, this is obviously not going to apply to everyone, but I can imagine a lot of casual players will look at something like, I don't know, I hate using Charizard as a repeated example, but like a Charizard deck, for example, and they'll go, Right, how do I turn Charizard into a CU Cup deck? Right, I remove Charizard and I attack with Charmeleon, and you're going to lose every game if you do that. So, it's this weird thing where you've got to make another deck, but it's got to be like very different from standard. And I think that's why a lot of people play like Diplin in the CU Cup as well, because it's a deck that people are familiar with, right? It's a very fun deck in standard, but it's not quite there as a really good deck. But in the CU Cup, it's practically broken, and so everyone plays it. But it's also because I think everyone's just so familiar with it as well. So yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts on the CU Cup. It's a very fun format, by the way. Overall, like if you haven't tried this out, and hopefully it does come back in the future, I would recommend giving it a go. It's honestly one of the few formats that I felt could like really be pushed IRL as well with players, just because it's so cheap and easy to get into. Like just commons and uncommons is really appealing. No specs or anything like that. Yeah, really fun format. Diplin is kind of OP though. Like that might that might be a problem, but I think without Diplin, the format's pretty well balanced. Like maybe Lunatone Solrock is also really good, but yeah, the CU Cup again, it's just not on for long enough to really get a proper feel of the format. And so if you run into like 5 Diplins in a row, you might think, oh, Diplin is the only deck that sees play in this format. And like you're not wrong, because there's only like 5 other people on the ladder that are playing Diplin, so you're not running into anyone else playing different things. And I've seen a lot of variety in this format, but yeah, I have seen a lot of Diplin as well. It's just one of those things, right? The other one, Half Year Havoc, is I think this one was a bit more interesting. Like we had this a couple of weeks back when it was the previous 6 expansion. So this one has the potential, I think, to be the most unique and interesting, just because it's basically like a mini version of rotation. So basically, you can only use cards from expansions released in the last 6 months. So for this one, it means that cards from Scarlet and Violet during Together expansion onwards will be really legal for it. So before it was Prismatic Evolutions onwards, but Prismatic Evolutions was a pretty bad set to launch from, just because there were so many good reprints of good cards. But leading Journey Together through Destined Rivals and then onwards to, yeah, I guess the latest set, Black Ball and White Flare. So not very many sets to work with. I would imagine like Mewtwo EX or like Spidops is going to be really good, or like Brave Bangle. Those will be decks to watch out for, by the way. Or like the Ethan's deck. Basically, any deck that has built-in support already, I think, from those sets will be really good. But I do think Half Year Havoc is at least interesting. I definitely think it's a lot more interesting than Twin Battles, for example. I think Twin Battles is honestly the weakest of the trainer trials that we've seen so far. Like the Silver Series was really cool, and that's another one that what didn't return for this one actually. But the Silver Series, just to quickly recap that was Scarlet and Violet era only, but the max rarity was rare cards. So like there was a fair few like good rare decks, like Ancient Box, for example. Diplin did also see a lot of play. Again, surprise, surprise. But yeah, that was a fun format. Twin Battles, though, I think might have been the weakest. Like it just wasn't as interesting as some of the others. Like I did play it a little bit last time, and it wasn't like that bad, I guess. But overall, just felt a lot like standard. A lot of Charizard, a lot of Dragapult, a lot of Pidgeot, some Monkey Dory thrown in for good measure. This was back when they gave us the free Cynthia's Garchomp deck, by the way, for the Twin Battles format. So they were like kind of pushing trainer trials a bit more, trying to encourage people to play it. But I think overall that Garchomp deck was just absolutely terrible. Like it was brutally bad. But yeah, Twin Battles, I don't think this one really has a ton of potential, and I would rather this one didn't come back, at least in my opinion. But yeah, they do say on here though, if you have some fun ideas for trainer trials, let them know on the official Pokemon forums. So you can sign in or register and do that if you really wanted to. But I think overall, like some of them are promising, but I don't see how anyone's going to get like that attached or interested if they just keep changing them. And I just don't know what the general player base is feeling about these, because I just don't see many people talking about them. Like you go on Reddit, you look through like community posts, people talking about like new decks to try, and some people will bring up trainer trials. There's been 1 or 2 posts I've seen about them, but I think overall people are just more inclined to play standard because it's what a lot of people play, quite a lot of people, and stuff like that. And like yeah, GLC is another thing. Like I haven't really touched upon this video. Like GLC was brought in as a trainer trial for expanded, and I do think GLC should be on TCG Live, but I feel like GLC could be its own thing as well. So we could have standard, expanded, GLC, and then trainer trials could be its own thing. And then maybe trainer trials could be 1 or 2 game modes that just rotate every like 4 to 5 weeks, because I don't feel like 1 to 2 weeks is just enough to really get your fangs synced into it. I also don't think keeping the schedule on this website is helping anything. Like, it's really awkward when you like log on to TSG Live and you go on to build a deck for Trainer Trials, and it's like, oh, this format has like 6 days remaining, and it's like a counter to Doomsday or something. It'd be really cool if this schedule was actually on TSG Live and you could see what was coming up. That would be really helpful, I think, as well, just for some constructive criticism, I guess, for the developers. But I feel like overall, most players, like the average player, is not going to log onto the forums just to look at this schedule for a format they don't play. Like, that's just not going to happen. I'm assuming people who've clicked on this video don't do that, by the way. But it's just a thing, right? I feel like there could be more cohesion, and maybe somewhere down the line, Trainer Trials gets pushed in a bigger way, and more players check it out. And like I still have decent success rate with like finding matches and stuff. It's not as if no one is playing it, but I just don't feel like it has no like relevancy, I guess, is like the right word I'm looking for here. Like, no one really cares about it. Like, it doesn't have that kind of staying power that GLC has had, or like expanded. You know how there's like a huge movement online that you see of people really wanting full expanded back. I have separate thoughts on that, but that's a topic for a very different video. Okay, and I have one word for you. It's Reggie Drago. But yeah, overall, I don't think expanded is a problem. By the way, I do think expanded should come back in its full, even though I've come to really appreciate the Sun and Moon version of expanded. But even then, like that version of expanded on TSG Live right now doesn't have a lot of players. It's like divided into, I would say, maybe 3 groups of players. You got one group of players who like take it really seriously, playing like max rarity Pikarom. You got another group of players who do what I usually do, and just play like absolute jank decks, like really weird abstract combos and fun budget decks, and just like kind of weird decks for expanded. And then the third group of players who just throw a pile of cards together and try, which is kind of what I'm doing anyway. But those are like the 3 main types of players, I guess, in expanded right now. But even then, I don't feel like expanded gets talked about a lot online, and you really don't see that much content for it. You do see a decent amount of content. Like, if you go on YouTube and just whack in like TCG Live expanded, you will find content for it. But I think overall, even then, there's not like masses of appeal to it. So, I guess why I made this video is just to like talk about this and like bring up the fact that no one cares that much, really, like overall. And I don't know if that's like a good thing or like a bad thing. Like, what does it say about Trainer Trials and like how it's been handled? Do you think they could have done anything better with this? Like longer weeks, different Trainer Trials, And I would like to hear from the community, by the way. Like, let me know in the comments if you have your own concept for a Trainer Trial. Like, how would you do it? I saw one person did suggest, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, they suggested like you could have this unique game mode like Capture the Flag, where like you KO a Pokemon and like you get a point or something, and then they KO a Pokemon, they get the point. Something interesting like that. I think they could really push this far. Like, they could do something cool with it. But I would like to also bring up, while I'm here, there was this other letter to the community, by the way, and they did have an update for Trainer Trials. So we have a variety of Trainer Trials challenges planned for players to complete throughout the Scarlet Violet, Black and Bolt, and White Flare era, which we've gone over today, starting with Singleton Showdown, blah, blah, blah. However, upcoming campaigns is something that I haven't heard about. So from August 14th to August 28th, log in during the Pokemon World Champions campaign to get a limited availability deck accessories, and avatar cosmetics. And additionally, in the spirit of participating at Worlds, take part in our Worlds Battle Board Takeover and special Worlds-inspired trainer trial. More information about this campaign will be coming soon. That sounds like a tournament. That honestly does sound like a tournament. I really hope we get tournaments back. Like, TCGO tournaments were great. I thought they were really cool. So if we could get tickets back in tournaments, that would be really fun. It would make for great content as well, so please add it. But yeah, Worlds-inspired trainer trial. I wonder how that's going to work, but yeah, something interesting at least. So I like Trainer Trials. I like that it's something new, but again, it just feels very niche right now. And I wonder what are like some good ways of really bringing it to the forefront, I guess. So yes, we number power. Let me know what you think about Trainer Trials down below. Do you have any suggestions for them? And yeah, thank you for watching.